What's going on, Boston Celtics fans? Welcome into Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Allie Barefoot. I've got two hot topics to discuss on today's show. The first is some trade rumors surrounding Jaylen Brown, and it's really more so about the Celtics' future, as Jaylen Brown is now the highest paid player in the NBA. What is that going to look like if the C's want to make some moves in the future, paying Jaylen Brown $60 million? On the back half of the show, Jayson Tatum has caught some slander in the MVP race. Recent polls do not have him in the top 5, but we're going to break down why Jayson Tatum may have not cracked the top 5 just yet and how he can do so by the end of the year. Before we do anything, look, our bosses, they're really good guys, right? Take it from me. But unfortunately, I did say if we don't get 300 likes in this video, we're not going live for any watch parties after the All-Star break. So if you guys want to hang out with us every Boston Celtics game, all you guys have to do is hit that like button for me, show us some love, and we'll be back better than ever. All right, well, let's talk about trading Jaylen Brown here, right? He's the highest paid player in the NBA, but he may not still be safe from a trade because of his salary. You always want to be the highest paid player, right? You want to make the most money you possibly can while you're in the league for a certain amount of times. But since he's going to be paid $60 million pretty much starting next year, it really puts the Celtics in a box in terms of what they can do to be able to grow their roster. Brown starts his 5-year, $286.2 million salary next year. As of right now, he's making about $28 million a year. And of course, they still have to talk about a Jayson Tatum extension. They have to figure out whether or not to keep Derek White and Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. They have a lot of players they need to pay in the next couple of years. And I'm sure they're hoping for Al Horford to retire soon, so maybe they won't have to pay him as well. But could JB's salary keep the C's from getting more assets? As of right now, the Celtics can't even go above a $12 million player in the buyout market because they're going to go over that salary tax apron. Well, next year, Jaylen Brown is making $50 million, which is about the same that Steph Curry is making right now. It's really going to put the Celtics in a bind. Let's break down Jaylen Brown's salary here for you. Next year, he'll make $49.4 million. Like I said, he's making $28 right now. The year after that, he goes up to $53 million. And the year after that, nearly $60 million. Well, let's go ahead and break down what some Western Conference executives had to say on The Ringer about what this is going to do for the Boston Celtics in the future. Not necessarily right now, as a lot of reports are saying Jaylen Brown's definitely safe throughout the summer. But they said, look, I think it's pretty realistic. Can you get 80% of Jaylen Brown by keeping Derek White and replacing Jaylen with a $20 million player instead of a $40 million player? A lot of these executives are really questioning, is Jaylen Brown really worth this money right now? Because if you guys do look at his stats compared to last year, he's not up there in terms of what he was producing last year before he got that contract extension. He had 27 points per game last year. Right now, he's at about 22 points per game. His rebounds are down. His assists are thankfully up, but his field goal percentage has remained the same. But you got to think, last year there was no Kristaps Porzingis or Jrue Holiday. So yes, Jaylen Brown has taken a different role this year, but isn't enough of a role to still be making $60 million. In my mind, Jaylen Brown is going to have to keep competing at an elite level, or else the Boston Celtics are going to take a harder look at Jaylen Brown specifically because he makes the most money in terms of whether or not he's a value to the team. And I mean, he has to be playing at an elite level for the next 3 years of his career at least to maintain a priority in Brad Stevens' mind, saying, hey, look, if Kristaps Porzingis starts to come above you, if Jayson Tatum continues to stay above you in stats, do we really need to be paying this player as much? Or else they might want to go out and get another player like they did for Kristaps Porzingis. Well, I have a question for you guys. Of course, when I think of Jaylen Brown, I think Boston Celtics. Same thing with Jayson Tatum. But if he does keep up this level of play, which is completely fine right now, but he's making $28 million right now. Will he be putting up these numbers in 3 years when he's making $60 million? Do you guys think Jaylen Brown should retire in Boston? Look, we all thought Marcus Smart was going to retire there. Jayson Tatum thought he was going to be playing with Marcus Smart for the rest of his career, and that trade went down to get Kristaps Porzingis. So go ahead and type Y for yes, type in for no if you think Jaylen Brown should retire in Boston, and you guys can put your opinion in before Brad Stevens puts his. Next, we're going to talk about Jayson Tatum and why he's getting a little bit of MVP slander right ahead of the All-Star break. But before we do that, I do want to break down our sponsor here on Celtics Today. The most fun you are going to have playing a daily fantasy sports app is Prize Picks. I can almost guarantee that. Why? Because it's super easy and it's just super thrilling. It takes less than 60 seconds to put in your picks. All you guys have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money. And right now, they have several promotions going on, including if you win one entry between February 12th and February 18th, if you win one entry a day, you continue to move on. And if you win every single day, you win a share of $3 million in free picks. Plus, Anthony Edwards and Steph Curry have been going crazy this season. And they do have a nice little demon on Steph Curry that I think he can definitely hit. That's going to be 6.5 3-point shots made. A demon's a harder pick, but a bigger payout. But I went pretty easy with Anthony Edwards here. 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists for tonight's game. I took the more on Ant, but these are just my Prize Picks. You guys are more than welcome to go on ahead and get started right now at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Be sure to use promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100 so you can watch yourself win some real money in real time. ESPN took a straw poll, and they asked 100 people to cast in their votes for the MVP voting right now. Unfortunately, Jayson Tatum was placed at 6 to win the MVP award, and this was without Joel Embiid, who has now been taken out of the running because he has not played enough games this season. Let's go ahead and break down what the top 10 actually looked like. Of course, the Joker is going to be at number 1. I can't imagine an MVP rating where Joker is not in the top 3 right now with how he's been playing. But Shai Alexander has slid his way up into second. He's passed Giannis at third, Luka at fourth, Kawhi Leonard, Jayson Tatum all the way over there to the right in sixth. Jalen Brunson's creeping up in the Eastern Conference, Donovan Mitchell. Like I said, Anthony Edwards, that's why I took him in my Prize Picks, and Kevin Durant there at 10th. But here's the thing that really makes me mad. Since when did we not contribute the best team in the NBA to the best player, which is Jayson Tatum right now? Because what Tatum does night in and night out, not only does he dominate the box score, but he dominates outside of the box score. And here's why Jayson Tatum is my MVP. Because he doesn't even care if he wins the award. All he wants for his team is banner 18. He said, look, I've accomplished a lot in this league, and I'm truly at the point where I want to get over that hump. I want to get back to the finals. I want to help us win a championship. And what I'm doing I might not win the MVP, but I'm just trying to help us continue to be the best team in the league. Jayson Tatum, that's all you've been doing for the Celtics all season. He consistently ranks in the number 1 spot or the number 2 spot in all of the Celtics stats. He's been a team leader on the bench, off the bench, on the box score, out of the box score. He continuously shines. And currently, right now, he's first in points for the Boston Celtics at 27.1. He's first in rebounds at 8.6. He's first in assists with 4.8. And he's tied for second in steals with 1.0. You know who's in first? Jaylen Brown with 1.1. He produces consistently for the Boston Celtics. So, how can Jayson Tatum move up in the MVP rankings? And you know what? I applaud him for not caring about this status quo, but I do. And I'm going to care for you, Jayson Tatum, because I think how you can consistently move up in these rankings is just that. Consistency. Playing night in and night out the way he's been playing. Because did you guys know Tatum's had 20-plus points, 7-plus rebounds in 12 consecutive games, which is now the longest streak by any Boston Celtic. The last person who did it was Kevin McHale when he had an 11-game streak with those numbers in 1988. The person who did it before that was Larry Bird with 10-plus consecutive games. Jayson Tatum is the reason the Boston Celtics are first in the NBA right now. I truly believe that. Does he have help? Yes. Does he have some of the best help in the NBA? Absolutely. But Jayson Tatum had 31 points in the first half against the Brooklyn Nets, but he went on to finish with only 41. And a lot of people can diminish that second half for him. But here's why Jayson Tatum stands out in the MVP rankings to me is because when he was asked after the game, why didn't you go for 60? Why didn't you add on a Luka game? Why didn't you add on a Steph Curry game? We said, I know I could do it, but it's all about playing in a rhythm. To have Jayson Tatum pop off and get 60, that's going to throw everybody else out of the system when you need Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Drew Holiday to make the Boston Celtics win as well. So Tatum only scored 10 points in the second half because that just wasn't the game plan for the Boston Celtics that night. So with that being said, knowing that Tatum is a we guy, not an I guy, I went on ahead and made my own top 5 MVPs. Of course, I'm going to put the Joker at first. I think it's crazy in any world not to have the Joker in the top 5. Shai Alexander has been popping off on one of the best teams in the Western Conference right now. And you know what? He's a guy that's been working his ass off as well. So I'm going to put him just slightly over Jayson Tatum. Tatum's going to be third for me. Why? Because the Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference, the best team in the NBA, and Jayson Tatum is the best player on that team. Period. Kawhi Leonard, I love the Clippers right now. I think the Clippers are red hot. I'm going to put Kawhi Leonard there at 4th, although he didn't play last night against the Warriors. And I'll put Luka Doncic at 5th. I do think this is going to be my top 5 in the MVP. I'm sure Smitty has a different opinion, but I want you guys to answer this question here for me. Should Jayson Tatum be in the top 5 of the MVP candidates? Jayson Tatum is not number 1 right now. That is okay. The Celtics are number 1, and that's what Jayson Tatum cares about. However, is he a top 5 candidate? He came in 3rd last year in voting for the MVP race behind Embiid and Giannis. And that says a ton, considering the fact that he's playing 10 times better this season as well. Like the video if you agree if Jayson Tatum should be in the top 5 at least by the All-Star break. I'm looking forward to making this video again towards the end of the regular season to see where Jayson Tatum does sit in the ESPN straw poll of MVP voting. But if you guys do want to check out that video later in the season, because I promise it's coming, that's why you guys subscribe. Anything that goes on with the Boston Celtics, rumors or news, we're going to have it right here on Celtics Today. So all you guys have to do to be in the know is hit that sub button for me.